You're listening to the Too Much on Her Plate podcast, the podcast for smart, busy women who are ready to make peace with food and create freedom from overeating. I'm your host, Dr. Melissa McCreary, and before we get started, I have some big news for you. Later this month, I am hosting a multi-day online event. It is going to be fantastic, and I don't think I mentioned, it is completely free. This is a 5-day event. It's called the Freedom from Overeating Workshop for Smart Busy Women, and you are invited. This workshop takes place online. It is a series, and we're going to run from August 22nd to the 26th. It's online, an hour a day, and over the course of the week, I'm going to be showing up live to be teaching you the approach that no one has probably ever taught you, the one that allows you to lose your overeating and your emotional eating habits without the guilt, without superhuman levels of willpower, and without feeling deprived. There's no cost for this event, and if you like what you're hearing on this podcast, you definitely want to be there. So here's what I want you to do. Hit pause before you dive into this episode, and then go to toomachonherplate.com/register. Enter your name and your email, and then you'll get all the information and all the daily updates about everything that's happening during the 5-day event. It is going to be amazing, so take a moment now. The link is in the show notes. Go enter your name and email, get yourself registered so you don't miss the 5-day Freedom from Overeating workshop. Okay, let's dive into this week's episode. Hey everybody, today I want to talk with you about magical thinking. And specifically, I want to talk with you about how having ideas about magical thinking and magical solutions is probably keeping you stuck, and you might not even be aware of it. The truth is that we all want easy, and I think that probably we all maybe secretly hope that there is an instant solution, right? A quick fix. We want something that's going to end our struggles really quickly and magically, one that will give us the results we want right away. And diet culture preys on and even cultivates this belief in a magical, fast path to results. A part of our brain knows it's a lie. But the funny thing about brains is that we can think two things at once. We can think opposing things at once. But a part of our brain knows that this idea of a magical solution, an instant quick fix, we know it's a lie. And we know it's a lie because here's the deal. That result that you crave, it isn't the result of being strong enough, right? Strong enough to do something really hard or to eat in a really rigid, disciplined way and then wonder for the rest of your days how long you can continue to do it. That isn't the result that you probably want. At least it's not the result that my clients want. My clients want to break the old patterns, the patterns of their eating behaviors and the patterns of their thinking that leads to the ways of eating that isn't working for them. They want to lose their cravings, not fight them or have to be strong in opposition to them, right? They want to lose their cravings. They want to think about food differently. They want to enjoy it and savor it and then stop eating before they're overly full. They want to enjoy their relationship with food, but not be focused on their relationship with food so many minutes of the day. They want to stop feeling deprived and hungry. They want to have options for handling things like stress or anxiety or boredom, things that are not revolving around eating when they aren't hungry. They want to not feel like I find myself in the kitchen and I need to eat when these things are happening and I don't know what else to do. This is what my clients want, and I would imagine that some of these things are part of what you want. Now, do they want to lose weight? Sometimes. And they want to achieve this goal of losing this weight using a different approach with a solid foundation that is designed to create that result in a lasting way. They don't want to keep revisiting this struggle over and over again. I talk a lot about your relationship with food, and it's an important phrase. I feel very strongly about it. I help my clients create their new, better, enjoyable relationship with food, their relationship with food and with eating and with their lives, which is so different from changing a number on the scale. right? So here's the hard part. After a lifetime of diet mentality, which is teaching us that magical results await us, the process of creating a new relationship with food, it just doesn't feel very sexy. It may not even feel right. And if you aren't expecting it, those old thoughts are going to drop in and sabotage you, even if you are convinced and you have decided what I really want is a new relationship with food. I want that new foundation. I want that new way of being and behaving and thinking with food. So I'll give you an example. I recently heard from somebody who had started listening to my podcast just a few weeks ago, and she was excited. She told me that it had opened her eyes to this whole new way of thinking about her eating habits. She really hadn't thought about, she hadn't thought outside of diet mentality. And so this idea about the reasons that you overeat and paying attention to them and building a new foundation was very exciting to her. And she was beginning to understand some of these reasons behind her eating. She had put on some weight and the reasons behind the overeating that was happening. And she wrote to me that she saw the possibilities here, and what she wanted to do was shift her mindset. That's what she said, because she was so tired of being stuck in this yo-yo cycle with food. So she'd followed some of the steps that I suggested, and she was even starting to notice already that she was binging less frequently than she had. She was having some time periods where the food really wasn't on her mind in the way it had been. And then a few weeks after the first time I heard from her, so recently, I heard from her again. She wanted to let me know that she would be moving on. She decided that this approach wasn't for her because she hadn't lost the weight she wanted to lose, and that she was moving on to try something new because this hadn't worked. The idea that this hadn't worked, that the weight hadn't come off, is founded in magical thinking. Magical thinking is the false belief that we can change everything at once. Poof. We will start doing something, we will see instant results, and everything will change. Magical thinking convinces us that if we don't see all the results quickly, it isn't working. And when you combine magical thinking with what we learn from diet mentality, diet mentality tells us that weight loss is the thing that needs to happen, and that weight loss should happen right away. And so within magical thinking and diet mentality, if the first thing that happens isn't this magical weight loss, it's a failure. And so this woman who had emailed me, who was seeing results, who was feeling relief, who was feeling that emotional relief of realizing there are reasons this is happening. This isn't something that's defective about me. Oh my goodness, there's a path where I can fix this. Magical thinking combined with diet mentality created a belief that this isn't working, that this has failed me, or that I have failed at it. Here's what I want you to know. If you don't build a new foundation, whatever results you create are going to be as unstable as they have always been. Because you're going to be left with that same old foundation, those same old beliefs, those same old behaviors, the same old reasons that have been there all along, that have been leading you to overeat or to emotionally eat or to eat things that you don't want to eat. Most of the women that I work with, they know how to lose 10 pounds quickly. They could create the formula for doing that in their sleep. Now, they can't always conjure up the willpower to do that because it's exhausting and they're burnt out on doing it over and over and over again, but they know how to make it happen. They also know that this isn't creating freedom from overeating. That magical path to losing 10 pounds quickly isn't creating lasting change. It isn't untangling and then losing the guilt and the shame and the deprivation thinking. And that magical path to losing 10 pounds quickly isn't the path to waking up in the morning and not having your first thought be about how you'll eat today, or whether your pants will fit, or whether yesterday was a, quote, good day or a, quote, bad day with food. That magical solution to losing 10 pounds quickly and not keeping it off isn't how you break the cycle of rigid willpower and cheat days and being on track and then blowing it and then starting over again. And by, when I'm talking about breaking the cycle, I'm actually talking about forgetting this pattern, losing this pattern, walking away from this pattern and leaving it behind. That magical thinking combined with diet mentality, it doesn't get you there. There's a very good reason that in your missing piece, which is, it's my group coaching program for creating freedom from overeating, we work together for at least 4 months, and you have lifetime access to the training materials. The reason for that, and the reason that my one-on-one programs are a minimum of 6 months, is that we need to work together to create the real change. We need to build the foundation. Deep change takes time, and you absolutely deserve the deep change. That myth of a magical solution, it sounds so sparkly, but it actually keeps people stuck. It keeps you stuck in trying the same thing over and over and blaming yourself when it doesn't work. Or it keeps you stuck in this pattern of looking for the right magical solution, the one that fits you. What's that thing? I know it's out there. I have to keep buying the books, right? I have to keep reading the magazines. I have to keep trying these programs or these food plans or these diets. Magical thinking around changing your eating creates an impatience with yourself. And it might leave you wondering, what is wrong with me? Why can't I make that magical solution work? Or why haven't I found my magical solution? You know, when I'm teaching about creating freedom from overeating, I often start by underlining this very important fact. You've probably heard me say it, that there's a reason you overeat, always. There's also a reason you get stuck in these patterns that aren't working. Even though it isn't sexy or exciting to hear, the way to a new, better pattern starts with self-respect and self-compassion and acknowledging that there's a reason. And the ingredient that no one wants to hear about that is also essential to creating a new, better pattern is patience. You deserve to be patient and kind and respectful to yourself as you work to create that freedom and peace with food. And I said as you work to create that freedom and peace with food, and I am betting your mind created a picture there, because I want to talk about another myth. There is a myth that if it isn't instant and magical, then it is going to be a long, stressful, arduous, difficult, painful journey. See, our thoughts are so steeped in diet mentality that when someone tells us it's not going to be quick and magical, often all we can envision is the equivalent of a long, miserable diet that doesn't create results. And who would want that? So take a minute and check in with yourself and see if that's what you saw when I said there's no quick fix, right? There is no magic instant solution to this. You need to take the time and have the patience to create a foundation. And guess what? Taking time and patience, giving yourself time and patience to create a new foundation and a new way of being with food is not the equivalent of a long, miserable diet that isn't creating results. The truth is that creating peace and freedom from overeating does take time. But in building that new, clearer, stronger foundation, you're building in things like ease and self-kindness and a stronger, better ability to address the reasons you overeat. You're doing it one step at a time at a pace that you can metabolize, at a pace that works for you. And along the way, some of these steps, I'm not going to lie, some of these they're totally new, right? So they feel uncomfortable and sometimes even difficult. It's like asking yourself to go left when you are so used to going right. But ultimately, this whole path, this foundation is all about creating more ease, creating something that works for you instead of plugging you into a program that you have to work, right? So giving yourself the gift of spaciousness and time to create the kind of change you want, the kind of change that feels good, this is a gift. It's a gift to give yourself space and time to do it the way that fits you. And honestly, so much of our desire for that fast, instant, magical answer comes from endlessly telling yourself, whether you realize you're doing it or not, that it's not okay to move at your own pace, that you should be somewhere where you're not, that you should have already achieved something that you haven't. You deserve permission to do it differently. You have struggled enough. My client this week described the changes that she's finding in this space because she's given herself the space and she's given herself permission to do it differently and take time. And she this is how she described it this week. She said, "Oh my gosh, it feels like a load of bricks just got removed from my chest." So giving yourself permission to take space and to take time and to create a relationship with food that you want, to build a new foundation, it is not the equivalent of a long, miserable diet. I love that description. She said it felt like taking a load of bricks off her chest. Magical thinking, it helps keep you stuck in diet mentality and in those same patterns that haven't brought you the feelings or the results that you want. And I want to combine the results that you want with feeling the way that you want to feel. I believe you are entitled to that. There is a better way, and it isn't a life sentence to misery. It is actually a path to opening the door to something that is much, much better. If you would like help and support and tools and resources to create this for yourself and to help give you that spaciousness and that permission, then I definitely suggest you check out the Your Missing Piece program. Enrollment is open. You can get started right away. And I've just opened enrollment for a few 6 to 12 month private coaching spots if you want to work together in this way. There is a path for you. Magical thinking doesn't fix what you really want fixed. That's so important. Magical thinking doesn't fix the thing you really want fixed. And the opposite of magical thinking isn't endless misery. The opposite of that magical thinking mixed up with diet mentality is giving yourself time to enjoy a process that fixes what was getting in your way all along. I'll talk to you soon. If you like what you've heard, subscribe to the Too Much on Her Plate podcast and take 30 seconds to leave a review. If you're ready to tackle your hidden hungers, then come on over to toomuchonherplate.com. That's 2TOO muchonherplate.com and take the Hidden Hungers quiz. It's free, and not only will you be able to pinpoint your best place to start, you'll get the resources you need to take your next best step.